you know what? Many insurance companies will reward you for more volume if those numbers look better.
Right.
And they'll categorize you if those numbers don't look good. Most shops don't dive that deep into it. So they think it's just, why should I worry about cycle time? Why should I worry about length of rental? Well, because insurance companies have access to that data. And when they see somebody, if they're looking in a specific market, they've told us this. If they're looking in a specific market and they're trying to identify a shop to add because they may be taking someone off, they look at length of rental as a direct impact on what it's going to cost to process the claim, because it's a per day charge for a rental car to the insurance company. And so shops don't understand that enterprise report is important to look at yourself. And know, because it's going to affect how others might refer work to you, even though you don't know that.
Yes, right. Now, let me ask you a question with cycle time. With 1Collision, where do you like to see your cycle time for your shops?
Low.
Well, how, of course.
So the tough question with that is, so if you have a guy who repairs Teslas, Mercedes-Benz's,
Jags, Ranges,
any car that may have some difficulty getting parts, that cycle time is going to be affected, and it has nothing to do with their operations.
This is true.
So the nice thing about 1Collision is we get to intimately know each shop and what their mix of work is. We actually can draw a report that shows how many Fords, how many BMWs, how many Volvos, whatever. And so sometimes that ends up being the cause. Hard hits, a steady stream of hard hits. The impact analysts have realized that the harder the car is hit, the less in stock those deeper parts are. They love the stock, the outer stuff, right? Which they're going to sell all the time. But nobody likes to inventory a part you're going to sell once every 4 months. So if you get a lot of hard hits because you've got all the right equipment and you've built trust with the industry that they'll send you on the insurance side or the OEs, they love to try and get the hard hits to you because you do them right. Well, you're going to have to wait for parts on the ones that are like structural, a frame rail. That's now you're starting to have things beyond your control that affect cycle time. So 100%. Cycle time by itself as its own statistic doesn't mean you don't perform well. You might have gotten that car done in an average of, or let's say that car got done in 15 days, which some would say, well, that's terrible cycle time. Well, it isn't, based on the way it was hit and the type of car it is and things like that. Same with severity, which is one of those really crazy ones. It's like, if you have a Mercedes-Benz certified shop, it's not uncommon for some of those shops to have a majority of their cars as Mercedes-Benzes. And those parts, same with Porsche, those parts, a fender on a Porsche is $1,200, a fender on a Chevy is $400. So it's 3 times more, and that's the parts are going to have a huge impact on your severity. And it's got nothing to do with you're charging too much labor. It's all about the parts that drive up the severity. So that is no fault of you. So I think to look at a shop, as many in our industry do that are not at the shop, but they're required to look at that shop's numbers. They go, this is all bad. Even gross profit. And I know, Nikki, you know how important of a number that is. You've told me. But you can't judge a shop with a 38% gross profit and say he doesn't perform as well as the guy with a 42%. The guy with the 42% might be doing Chevys and Fords, and the guy with the 38 might be doing Mercedes, and they don't get the parts discounts. And then also parts becomes a higher percentage of the total job on those more high-line cars. So the gross profit will be low.
Of course.
So it's numbers cannot be looked at as a standalone category and say that is bad. You should do better there. You have to look at all the numbers and then understand what drives those numbers. So that's where, how often does an independent shop owner really have the chance to reflect on what's going on in his business with spending a lot of time each day, unless he's got a big enough store where he has a general manager, a staff of estimators, and he can spend his time with a cup of coffee in his office looking at the data.
Right.
And that has to be a certain size of business where the owner doesn't have to be jumping around and being reactive. And he has to have a really good operational model.
Absolutely.
Because that will build out him to be able to look at his data and his numbers. So that's where, like a 1Collision comes in, and, we take the time. I mean, we'll take half a day to analyze what's going on there and figure it out, to help him understand which way to go. And, it's interesting in this world of collision repair, some shops do not think it matters, and they do not want help with it. Now, those are shops that, probably wouldn't be a good fit with us, because we like to represent ourselves to the industry as well-performing shops. And in order to do that, we have to understand what the numbers are, and then we have to manage by the numbers.
Yes.
And so that's where, the shop has to want to. It's like my dentist. He has a big molar in his office, and it says the dentist can't undo what the patient won't do. In other words, if you're going to come in every 6 months for a checkup, but you'd never brush your teeth, it's not going to be my fault as a dentist. It's your fault. You don't brush your teeth, right?
Right, right. I love that. Well, let me ask you another question. So having the relationships with the manufacturers and with some of the insurance companies, that I'm sure that helps your group, shops within your group, potentially come on with those OEs or those insurers. So I would assume, knowing these shops' numbers intimately, then you can kind of advocate for them. If there's a need in the area of one of the shops, you can say, okay, yes, these are the numbers, but let me explain to you why they look like this and why it's actually a good thing versus. And that would go for you or for even any shop owner. If something opens up, I should really be able to know my numbers, what they are and why they are, so that I can explain to them.
Exactly. That's precisely it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And it's nice that you are teaching your owners to not only find those numbers, but understand them and then improve upon them, which, we were talking a little bit about before, it's not just left all on you. Now you've got a team to come in and assist, which is a huge help.
And the other thing is the CSI report in our reporting system. So I think I mentioned, all this data has to typically come out of a management system. If you only have estimating, you're out of luck, right? So So, obviously shops should really, we qualify them with having a management system, and we're not going to get into the different brands out there, but there's one in particular that a majority of our shops have. And I'll tell you what, we can draw some CSI stuff out of there that is just really compelling, and it breaks it down by estimator. So, if that estimator, repair planner, customer service person handled that customer, that's noted on the report, and you can see differences between a couple individuals who has the higher customer service, who has a higher net promoter score. There's a lot of really interesting things, but the net promoter score is really about your ability to get customers to tell the world about you and get them to come back and to get them to, tell other people. And so that's critical, because in our industry, people like to refer doctors. They like to refer car people when they find a good one, because everybody needs a doctor and they need a car person, either on the mechanical or the collision side. And when you find that one that you have that much confidence in, that you want to keep going back there, you will tell other people. You'll be at a cocktail party or, out for a round of golf, and someone said, just the other day at work, someone knocked into my quarter panel and I got to go get it fixed. He goes, I don't have a regular body shop, nor do I want one. Right? But, anyway, I gotta find somebody, and I'm really particular about my car. You know what? You need to go to so-and-so. They're going to treat you so well. And you know what? They do good work too.
Yes.
But it's really about making you feel good, and feel whole after you leave there. And,
absolutely.
So we see that. And so do insurance companies and car manufacturers, especially if they're going to OE certify you, they want to see CSI results. that'll be a qualifier moving forward, is to, your ability to maintain that OE certification.
Yes. Well, and I know just the insurance companies have been looking at more recently, like you said, they've started to look at the online reviews, looking at Google and Yelp.
Yep.
And I always push my shops to really maximize. Remember, there's an online review waiting for you potentially. Let's make that thing stellar, knock it out of the park, move that customer emotionally, because not only do you want to do the right thing and have them come back, but you're exactly right. The insurance company looks at it, and now we've got the OEs looking at it also. And these are the big players, right? So let's get those reviews out there, not just even within the CSI management system, but the online where everybody can see the reviews. And like you said, when people find somebody that they love, they want to shout it from the rooftops.
Well, and especially this last year with the onset of, COVID and everything like that, with some of the, stay at home and not, the contactless opportunities to negotiate or deal with the business, it was, I'm going to go revert back to resources that I know can give me an indication of the level of service that a business might, provide to me. And Google reviews, Facebook, the Yelps, your background in marketing, my background in marketing, I saw the same things where it was like, I did some research, or our research at the body shops, where that we're finding that we're asking customers where they came from. Well, I saw your Google reviews.
Yes.
It's a huge thing. It ties right to what Jim said, CSI, the net promoter.
Yes.
And that piece really, hey, put your flag in the ground and be proud of those things and ask for reviews. A lot of shops are like, well, we're concerned about asking for too much post repair as far as the CSI, the surveys, and the Google reviews. And it's like just a matter of education. Just let them know, when they pick up the car, hey, we're going to be asking for some bits of information that help us provide a great service to you going forward and to everybody else that down the road.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you're looking at your shops collectively, how do you feel like they're stacking up? Or I guess the better question is, if they're not stacking up, then that's when and we're talking about, customer service and the net promoter scores specifically. I know, like, when it comes to processes and procedures, you have people that will come in. Do you also have people that come in to help your shops increase those scores as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's Joyce's responsibility. We actually have a training program called Customer Care. And it's all about how we work with the customer when we're front facing with them and they're in our house, right?
Yeah.
How do we work with them? How do we talk to them? How do we respond to them? Hopefully not respond.
Yes.
How do we communicate with them? How are we going to let them know the status of their car? All of those things. So we've created two programs. It's called our umbrella is called Smart Performance. And it's got two pieces. It's got what happens in the front of the business when we have a customer. And then the other piece is the operational side. What happens once that car, we got the keys and now it's going to, get a repair plan and get processed.
Yeah.
So, so that we have those two components of training. So there's training that involves SOPs. So here's the process for processing a customer in the front office.
Yes.
And, the pleases, the thank yous, how are you today? Calling someone by their name, all those, customer service tricks that work. And then on the back end, it's also procedures. We have like a 10-step, when the car comes in, these are the 10 things that must happen as efficiently as possible. And, some SOPs I've seen are as thick as a phone book. It's like nobody could ever follow those because you could never remember all that information.
Right.
So ours are very simple. They're printed pages with the 10 steps. But then there's if someone wants detail, there is more detail, but you could read the whole book. It takes one day to present the whole training. And it's block and tackle, simple, basic stuff. And it's okay if a shop varies a little bit here and there because of just, what comes natural to them or whatever.
Right.
But to be able to have at least a base procedure system. And that includes the scan on both ends of the process.
Yeah.
And it includes all those things using factory data. I mean, those are all built into the procedures. And those things are not optional. they must be done. And we actually let them know you're protecting the integrity of 1Collision as an organization,
right?
Not just your own integrity, and most importantly, the safety of the customer.
Of course.
So we are in a way a monitor of what they do, because we do have a relationship with them that attaches them to us, and so we have to be concerned about what they do.
Now, when it comes to shop names, let's say, I am Mickey's Collision Center and I'm interested in joining 1Collision. Do I still maintain my shop's name?
Yes. So you would be 1Collision Mickey.
Has a nice ring to it.
Well, it would be redundant to call you 1Collision
Mickey's Collision. Exactly.
So here's what happens, Mickey. So when insurance companies put us in as a group, they have to have us all as 1Collision. So like when they have a directive to refer them to a 1Collision, they go in their system, they type in the 1, which, by the way, in all alphabetical ordering systems, when you start with a 1, you are at the top.
Yep.
In some publications, we actually get to be above 3M. They've always been at the top, but now that we're sponsoring some of the same things, we get to be first. And we just started sponsoring 2 years ago. So
wow.
They've been doing it for 20, but I apologize to them, we're sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
It's our name. What can we do? But it is important to be recognized as a brand. We're actually working in a market right now where they want to, they want to brand with us because they